Hey guys, welcome back. A few things before we get started. As you guys know, we are hosting a conference in Grafton, Illinois, May 2nd through the 5th. That is Secret Space Conference. It is themed around the Secret Space program. It's a subject that we're passionate about, and we're really looking forward to it. There are tickets still available. If anyone who's listening would like to join, those tickets are available at secretspaceconference.info. And if you can't make it, there are live stream tickets available also. That's all on the website. The on-site lodging itself is sold out, but there is on-site camping available and nearby hotels and Airbnbs. And we created the Telegram chat, which that link is below also. And if you're looking to share rooms, coordinate rides from the airport, whatever, it's a great place to connect with people. So take advantage of that. We look forward to seeing you all there. It's like 32 days away or something like that. So it's right around the corner. And one other thing before we start, we just recently joined forces with our friend Mason Fury. We've had him on the show before. He started his own organite pyramid company called Merlin's Lab, and we are now affiliated with him. And he is having a 20% off sale right now on his organite pyramids. And that link is also below. I'm going to put a QR code on the screen that will also take you to his website. But you get 20% off all of his merchandise with promo code Solstice. And guys, they're incredibly unique, truly one of a kind pyramids. He uses very high quality copper. And each pyramid has a capstone that resembles the pyramids from of the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's some really cool products. So go check those out and take advantage of that sale. And you get 20% off all of our Teespring merch with promo code 20 and back, including this conference t-shirt that you can purchase and wear to the conference if you would like. Tonight, we are joined by Tarot by Janine. Welcome to the show, Janine. We're glad to have you here.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to this.
Right. So me too. I was actually first made aware of you when somebody shared your video, a video you did pertaining to the Secret Space program. You did a reading on that, and that caught my interest. And I was like, this is awesome. And it felt like everything you said was resonating with me. So after that, I started following you. And I think that was about like 4 months ago or something. And what you're doing is incredible. You've obtained quite a following. Your channel's, exploding. And so just wanted to first off, thank you for what you're doing, because a lot of people are enjoying what you're doing. And welcome to the show. Before we get started, I'd like you to just kind of introduce yourself and let people know how you stumbled into this and how you found yourself doing what you're doing.
Okay. And it was like a stumble. So I started out, for years and years, 35 years to be exact. I had a huge clientele tarot reading. I was like a full-time, what they call a career reader, which were rare. Most readers read part-time. But I was literally like, that was my bread and butter. And I did it daily, like I'd say 6 days a week, a bit of a workaholic over here. I put a couple of kids through school and on my own. So I was a hardworking card reader. And for years, I thought, okay, I got to get a YouTube channel. People were telling me I should. And I really love just chatting, and I'm pretty easy with the camera. I get along good with cameras, and I'm not a bit shy. So a lot of people said, and I would say a lot of things to my clients that probably needed to be said to the world. But like, I'm kind of a big vision person, and always had like more of a life coaching, spiritual coaching style to my reading. But I would also get cool intel for them. We can call it intel, but it was like spiritual advice from their higher selves. That's who I channel. I channel the person sitting in front of me's higher self, or maybe the higher universal energy that we're all connected to. That's what I think I channel. Anyway, I started, so all of a sudden somebody came up to me now, this friend of mine named Guy, and he said, you've been talking about a YouTube channel for years. Let's do it. He's a camera guy. He's a tech guy. So within probably 24 hours, we did our first video.
Nice.
And we started out doing political things. He's really into the space program, and the guy was really red-pilled, but he didn't really tell me a lot of what he knew. He let me figure out stuff myself. I started out a Trump hater. I hate to say it now.
Really?
Yeah, I started out CNN brainwashed.
Oh,
And
wow.
he knew better, but he let me, with questions, let the cards basically educate me on what was really going on, because I was just following the narrative. And after a while, my cards were not matching my opinion about these things, which cards often disagree with your human opinion anyway.
Yeah.
And right on camera, basically, I got red pilled. And some of the time he'd ask me the questions. Like, I remember him bringing up the space program about a year and a half or 2 years ago and wanted to know what was really going on there. And I knew nothing about it. So I just wing it with the cards. That might have been the video you saw. So there's a pureness to that. And he knew that. He knew that audience would like somebody who really doesn't know anything about politics, talking about politics with the tarot cards. Okay, so once I ate crow and realized what we call Mr. T was actually a big part of the solution and changing the world, and a good guy, and that CNN had brainwashed everybody, and that the whole world was the opposite of what we thought it was. I jumped on, like right around the lockdown time, I jumped on as a truther. I ate crow. I apologized to my audience. I said, okay, I've been wrong about Mr. T. And of course, a lot of them were writing me and telling me I was wrong anyway. And I said, I'm gonna clean up my act here and just start really seeing what the cards say. And so I just launched in. I was brave enough to go, okay, I got egg on my face, but let's try to do this right. So ever since, I've been on that wagon. Yeah. And I gave up all my clientele to do it full time, because I just thought I was born for this. It just felt right to be a truther. And it just felt like the fight I needed to fight, because the whole world needs us all right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're doing great work, and thank you for that. And that's a really cool testimony, because I honestly didn't like Trump either at first. And we're not claiming that he's some sort of savior, but the role he was playing was crucial at the time, definitely.
Yeah.
And who knows what's still going on behind the scenes? Maybe we could pull some cards on that and look into that. But yeah, I think it's absolutely amazing to let your audience see you shift, because that is you leading by example. And you're not telling your audience, what to think, and as a matter of fact, they were telling you apparently.
Yeah, but, they were.
Yeah. So yeah, the secret space program, I mean, just, we have the conference coming up and we're in that energy right now. What kind of, what information have you what information has come through pertaining that? And, what was this like for you to discover that there was actually a program existing outside of the public's awareness?
Yeah, well, like I said, this fellow that was red pilled doing the background in my videos and filming, he actually asked me about it because he knew all about it. So he believed there was a secret space program. And I knew nothing about it. I only knew at that time what mainstream media was telling us. So I hadn't gone down the rabbit holes yet. And so I just looked at it in the cards. And the first thing I realized was that almost everything you've been told about this space and everything. I also did a video on NASA. And I don't know if I can say this here, but NASA is pretty much a psyop from what I got.
Oh, yeah.
I got it was literally BS. And a lot of people wrote me and were like, my son worked for NASA for 20 years. And it's like, well, you can work for a company that's all BS. I mean, it's possible, right? They're not going to tell, like, only the higher ups in it are going to know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Right. So I got it was literally just a big false information scam. And the secret space program, meanwhile, was developing the real stuff and working on the real stuff, which kind of makes sense now that we know what we know.
Yeah, well, NASA's the front. It's the dog and pony show, and the funding for NASA actually gets funneled into funding these black budget programs. And however that looks, obviously it's not just NASA, even SpaceX by now. Who knows? But these public space programs, they don't need all that funding. They're not, they're still trying to get to space with rocket technology. And they don't need money to do that. They already know how to do that. Money is being used for something else.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So just the discovery of that for you, I guess, was that pretty profound? Or were you kind of did you kind of already have an inner knowing that something like that was happening?
Well, let's say it made sense. And it just made sense because I had already figured out that almost everything we've been told is a lie about our history. Almost everything that the government's been sporting, all governments, it's been inundated with what I call the dark cult or the deep state or both. But I don't know what I can say on this program. Can we say the C word here or the I word?
You can
say it
cabal.
all. We don't care.
Okay, so the cabal families, the bankers, you know what I mean, and Illuminati basically, and then of course the government part of that would be known as what Trump sort of coined deep state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it was him who coined that. It was probably coined before him.
He popularized it.
He popularized it, sure. So they infiltrated everywhere over thousands of years. I figure they've been working. This little thing that's got going on for thousands of years. So the secret space program, though, it felt like it was actually being mostly worked on by the good guys from what I was seeing. So it maybe at some point it might have been in the hands of the bad guys, but I'm not sure about that. But I definitely got that it had been taken over by what I call the Alliance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's most likely, there's two factions there. There's dark and light to every aspect of life. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is still some negative program existing. But we have been getting information about some sort of a Earth Alliance or an alliance effort that's not even just in space, but even clearing out these tunnels and taking care of the underground stuff that just gets totally silenced that we don't know anything about. Yeah. And I know you've touched on that too. And it appears that there is a cleanup taking place.
Yeah. Every time I've looked into it, that was the case. And almost not all of, but almost all of these really weird weather things in the last year and a half look like they were actually created by what I call the Alliance, which sounds crazy, but I know we've been manipulated with weather by the bad guys for a really long time, but I feel like they've taken things over somewhat and they're using it now. It's like they're utilizing the whole lockdown. They made it their own and utilized it these times that are happening all over the world for their own cleanup. It's like kind of flipped things on
right. I definitely feel like that's the case. We just had this storm come through St. Louis yesterday, and it was obviously man-made, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I could just tell by the way it showed up, by the way it held over a certain location, and just looking into certain things. I feel like, I don't know if it was an alliance effort or not, but it seems like it was. I know there's stuff going on in Australia right now, some major flooding that actually doesn't seem to be, when I feel into that, it doesn't seem to be benevolent. So I would almost say there might be some sort of a weather war going on. There might be some rogue groups that have access to some technology still, but the big picture is, I think you're absolutely right. Like you're winning this. We have taken over, and it's inevitable, but it's just going to take a little time.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's going to be hard. There's going to be hard days coming, and I think real quick.
Yeah.
Just for that final go down. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but it feels like to me, it feels like it's true.
Right.
Something else got to happen. That's got to wake like the masses up, like something kind of nasty, final sort of go down. And then that's what shifts everything to the better is what I've been told. So I hope that's true.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you be interested in pulling cards on that to see what that would look like? Yeah. Yeah,
let's do it. Yeah, because it's always good to keep in touch. It feels to me like it changes a lot, the scenario. It's like depending on what this group does, this group, then else, it's like really a 5D chess thing going on. So it does, we do tend to get a back and forth, even with the cards on. And sometimes they even want to say, no, you don't get to know that right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see what we get here.
Well, things change in the fog of war. So for every move, there's a counter move, and it's always changing, and you can't necessarily predict it accurately. It's going to constantly change, if you could predict it, if things go according to plan, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we've got all of a huge mystery going on. This is the world's in a big fog about most things right now. So almost everything we think we know, probably we don't really know much about, especially the sort of main bulk of the population. Because when we ask about things like this, we're probably referring to maybe not the people watching videos like this. They're actually a smaller group, unfortunately. We've been growing a lot, mind you, truther communities, et cetera, but digital soldiers like that. But I feel like we're still the minority, unfortunately. Okay, so there's all of these mysteries, but then there's all of these people working really, really hard at uncovering. And this says we're 80% to blowing the cover off what's really been going on. So what's really been going on is a big mystery to a lot of people, but a lot of people are catching on that something weird's happening. I mean, just look at what's happening to the fiat dollar, for instance. I mean, just look what Russia just did. They literally changed things to a gold-backed standard for about half the population. So if India and China are in with Russia on that, and that's supposed to go forward later today. So that's almost like a car crash nobody's even admitting to yet. That's like huge. Like that's almost unbelievable. Okay, right. So we got gold-backed standard. We've been talking about there's a gold-backed standard. I've been seeing it in the cards forever. So that was all planned. Okay, they just slid that in there, and it's just fascinating. Didn't even people hardly even noticed it. Mainstream media didn't even talk about it, or haven't yet, but they're going to have to. Okay, right. So that we're 80% through this mystery, and we're almost ready to divulge here, it looks like. So that would lend itself to, we got a few more moves, you know what I mean? 80% is not all the way, right? Okay, and we do have a lot of help from off-worlder, I don't know what to call them, galactic helpers, even our future selves, maybe I'm talking about. When I get this card, it's always like that part of the alliance that is maybe human or more advanced than us regular humans. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
You're into space program stuff. Okay, right? So, and then we've got this 10. So we've got the 10. So it's going to affect the whole world. And it could even have something to do with water. So that's interesting because that's a water card. It could have, and that's why that group, Q group, always said, watch the water, because Q, I think, is just a higher intelligence, possibly off-world intelligence or some kind of I don't know.
Advanced tech, even.
Advanced tech that's way beyond what we admit we know. You know what I'm saying? Right. Okay, so we bought this. So that feels like there's a move here around water that's going to appear like a bad guy move. Let's see if it really is a bad guy move. It's going to appear like that. So they want you to think it is. Okay, so the good guys have more control over it. They're going to want you to believe it is, though. So for the first, say, hours of it or days, you're going to think it's a bad guy move, but it actually is. It was created by the good guys. So that's interesting.
And this is a water event.
That looks like a water event that affects the world.
And everyone's been having tsunami dreams, and there was just an earthquake near Australia last night, a 7.2, and it came with a tsunami warning. But a lot of stuff is happening with the water right now. Flooding, some of these floods, these weather events might be flooding these tunnels. There's stuff.
Yeah, so they could have one last big crescendo move there that's water related, but I feel like it's been taken over. So I think it was planned by the bad guys by the look of that, because that card came up, but it's been taken over somewhat by the good guys. So this is what's been happening all along, what I've been getting. So you get these, bad guy moves, but they get intercepted because the good guys have been onto them for at least, well, I'm sure way longer, but 20 years that I can see. And according to somebody like Carrie Cassidy, she says she's been aware of what they call the white hats for 20 years. Okay. So they've been around anyway since 9/11 Do you know what I mean? But for sure, they knew 9/11 was coming. And when I did a reading on that fellow, what was his name? Bill Cooper, that wrote, "Behold, a pale
horse." Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that guy. Okay, he was warning about 9/11 and things coming that they were going to blame on, bin Laden and whatever. He was pointing that out in June of 2001. And then he was off the earth plane in a suspicious manner, of course, by November of, so after it happened, only by a month and a bit. So, like obviously and it looked like he was somehow connected to what we might have known as the White Hats back then. So there was already that group in place. They saw all of this coming. And I don't think they were able to stop 9/11 and stop that, because that was going to change the money system was going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Also wasn't, they were going to out the real space program situation. Weren't they going to out it? Like there was a whole bunch of things they shut down with 9/11.
Right.
Supposedly Nassara was going to kick in and they had to stop that. Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff.
It was just going to be a major disclosure effort that was silenced. Yeah.
And I think they just made sure now they're doing it and they're going to make it happen this time. And that's what I think we're sitting at. They actually did. They've largely won, but you still have these pockets of the bad actors, the bad guys that didn't get the memo and are still MK altered or whatever, and or working for their minions that are still carrying out their dastardly deeds. That's what I think, because these guys have no souls anymore. Yeah.
Right. Well, even potential clones. That's one thing. A lot of this stuff is like, well, some people like to say baseless or sourceless claims because you can't really find any evidence for it, but everyone's tapping into something happening, something big happening. But, whenever, we trigger a lot of people when we talk about certain things that we can't prove.
Sure.
Just guys, disclaimer, take all this with a grain of salt. We're here on this journey with you guys. We're trying to figure this out. Yeah. And, but like you talking about them not having souls and the idea of some of these politicians and celebrities even being clones, that's very interesting to me as well. Have you came across any information like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every time I look at like that whole thing that happened at the Oscars, first of all, it's almost been really proven, and like I've seen a lot of proof that those Oscars were filmed in 2020.
Really?
Yeah, just for starters. Okay. And did you notice there was a lot of the real big older bunch not even present at it? Mm-hmm. Okay. So
really?
Right. So just watch them. So they would have already taken out Tom Hanks by then, and some of the big adrenochrome players, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now you got left. So here, Will Smith pulls that thing, that he does with Chris Rock, and those two do not look like themselves. Okay. Have you seen pictures, even in 2020, of Will Smith? The guy looked like, well, I'm 60 and I know he's close behind me. Okay. But he was looking his age, and all of a sudden he looks 35 again. His skin looked 35 again. And so unless he got literally a new face, okay, that's just not him. And then Chris Rock he looks also 35 again. Okay, come on. Those guys are close to my age. They're not 35 anymore. How are they still looking 35? And even in 2020, when we saw actual footage of them, they looked their age. Okay, it's just not making sense. Nothing's adding up. The whole thing didn't add up. So there's definitely some weird stuff going on. Look at a lot of the singers. They literally look cloned. Adele is not original Adele. There's no way.
A lot of them sing about being cloned. Ed Sheeran, is that Sheeran? What's his name?
Sheeran?
Yeah, Ed Sheeran. He has a music video, a song about him being cloned. Yep. And a couple other pop artists actually do as well. And some of them had even come out as whistleblowers and say, guys, we're being cloned. There's a facility in Canada. And
there was that one rapper that said he was a clone. He
Kid
escaped
Boo.
or something.
Kid Boo. Yeah. and then he even did a video where he was on camera with his clone, and they were like disclosing it, and everyone just writes it off as bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not real.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy that you think it's not real. They've been signaling like that forever, because part of that cabal or Illuminati or whatever, 33-degree Mason group or whatever, all these secret societies, but they all connect back to those, what some people call it the Khazarian Mafia, that bunch. Okay, so those could all be sort of just shoot-offs of what we call the Illuminati families. Okay, yeah. But anyway, so it's necessary for them sort of spiritually, and I use the term, loosely, because I don't know what else to say, but it's their spiritual practice, okay, not only to use adrenochrome, eat people's babies, and it's horrifying what they do, okay, so, but it's also and they've been doing it since the beginning of time. There's stories about it in Roman times.
Yep.
These are
it goes back to ancient Sumeria and Mesopotamia and Babylon.
Canaanites. They didn't go anywhere. They just hid behind a fake Jewish religion. Actually, they were given an option to pick a religion, and they chose Judaism, but they didn't follow Judaism. So they give those people a bad name. Like, it's horrifying. And of course, that was really convenient, because now they can hide behind, you're going to be an anti-Semite if you talk about them. Well, really, they're not. They're actually really dangerous to real Jewish people. I've been Jewish in other lifetimes. I have a huge respect for real Jewish people. Like, they're not.
They use it as a shield, exactly, to protect themselves.
They shadow behind these people. They also shadow behind the CCP. Communism, but it's really that's who's lurking behind that. And it's just horrifying. But what were we saying again?
Well, I don't know, but it is important to note that, when you're talking about the CCP or Judaism, we're not blanketing the entire race as a bad guy. Like that is, or even when we talk about the Nazis and the Germans, people get angry with us because they're like, stop calling them Germans. I don't know how to just.
We're talking about the controllers at the top, not the people. Yeah.
Right.
And it's very sneaky of them, because they make it so you're going to look bad if you talk smack about them. Yeah. They've been brilliant, actually, but so are the Alliance. So the Alliance really sharpened up their act after 9/11 when they weren't able to stop that. And I think they're doing it this time. They're flipping it. But that doesn't mean we sit on our laurels. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
We can't we're not being safe. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying at least we'll have a softer landing than what it would have looked like, because we would all be sitting in Klaus Schwab's, or whatever that guy's name. We'd be sitting in his version of, his 2030 version of reality, which is horrifying. Own no land. Everybody gets rounded up into cities and stacked on top of each other, has no soul left. And we're all just literally energetically feeding their machine. That's all we got. All our creativity is being taken by them. That's what they want.
Right. They're still trying to push it. Didn't they just like literally use the term New World Order in the World Economic Forum or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, they're telling you straight up now that there is no operating in secrecy anymore. It's just all out in the open. And it's funny. It's really interesting watching them. It's sad at the same time watching them try to pursue and try and play out their plan, because there are casualties along the way, and there's some of the stuff is not what we want to see, but the
jab,
right? But the big picture is obviously, we're moving in the right direction. If you know what to look for, you can see it.
Yeah. So was I doing a reading on something?
Well, you weren't, but we can do another one. While let's just have some fun with this, because the big conspiracy is what's going on with Trump, some sort of return. Is the election going to get flipped? Is he coming back? We've kind of gotten nowhere with all that information, but I'm just curious to see what comes through.
Okay, so you think you got nowhere. Okay, so temporary setbacks. There's 5s are temporary setbacks. They're not major arcanas. This is a major arcana. In tarot, when you have a number and a title, that's a major arcana. And when you just have a number or you just have a title at the bottom, like that cup card, but no number, these are minor arcanas. So there's court cards, minor arcanas, and major arcanas. Major arcanas, and by the way, this is my dark cult and or Illuminati or Cabal card, right? So we're talking about stuff like that. That card's pretty fitting.
Yes.
If we were talking about something else, it would mean a whole different thing, but because that's what we're talking about, it will come up and it's very specific. That's the bad guys. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the people that are affiliated with and or associate with and associate all their power with demonic power. So they're embracing dark magic and using it against humanity. They've been doing it since the beginning of time. They're brainwashing slowly. They infiltrated all of our mainstream medias, all of our governments, all of our systems. And in particular, right now, we're noticing the medical system. So now they've used that. Now that's literally our gas chambers of this war.
Yep.
Right.
If you go in the hospital, and especially if you're unjabbed, you're not coming out of there probably because of apparently 7 people. You can go take it back to 7 people actually own the systems that go into place for hospitals more or less on the globe. Mm-hmm. If we do live on a globe, because that's all up for discussion too. I'm not getting into that though.
Right.
Yeah.
So far, I'm going to go with we live on a globe, but I think it's probably different than it's not flat or a globe is what my cards say, but let's not do that.
Some people say it's like pear-shaped.
Right.
Or egg-shaped. Yeah.
Yeah, egg-shaped.
It might not be exactly what we think anyway, like everything isn't. But so that we're only minor setbacks is what I'm saying. We're going to have our freedom and sovereignty back. And I think they'll have to have a new election is what I get. They're going to need a new election. So I think it'll be brought to light. I really do believe that the Trump team will actually come out and they have all the proof and he's been shadow governing the whole time anyway. So that whole Biden team is all fake. Every bit of it's fake.
100%.
That's been so called out.
My body, I just got full body chills when you said that because that when it happens to me, I know that's true. I felt it since day one, that phony inauguration. Yeah. The movie sets, the whatever, CGI, whatever.
Why would you need to film in a fake White House set if you're in the White House? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I think they've been trying to bring them back, but they had all these agendas that had to happen first. Okay, so every time I look at the cards, it's imminent that he's coming back, and it's not years away. It's not in 2024. I feel like it could even be April looking at these cards. So the truth could place him back in April. But every single day, I think they work at doing that. They got to find a way, though. This is what I've been getting over many, many, many readings. What I get is, so I don't get intel from people. What I do is I watch other people's intel and then gauge with the cards of how accurate it is. That's what I do. Right. So I go, okay, how much of that's true? What part of that's true? What part of that isn't true? And I'm not trying to call out truthers when I do that. I'm only trying to get what the cards want to. So we hone in on stuff with that. That's what I do. So I don't have sources that tell me stuff, but I do watch everything that's going on out there. I look at even mainstream media stories and we look at what's true about that. But of course that got to be old because it's always all lies.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
It's important to note also, like you said at the beginning, you're channeling here. You're channeling your higher self, some sort of universal consciousness. So it's not, the cards are a tool.
They're a tool.
The cards are just a tool. So this information is just a way for you to tap into your higher self or whatever energy you're tapping into. That's really important to note, I think, because everyone's going to interpret the cards differently when they read it. So, and obviously certain people like yourself, they fall into this for a reason because it's a gift. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about, okay, the possible April that, it's interesting too, because we have, I think, there's a pink moon or some type of moon around Easter, like some rare moon right around Easter. And that's what I was going to ask you. What about any solar events? Have you gotten any information about that?
Solar events like
Some sort of a solar flare or flash or something like.
have a look. I have been asked about that for quite a while. So I really like it when people ask me stuff, because if I don't think of it, that it's great too. That's why I love cards. I just want to be able to let's look at that, whatever it is anybody wants to look at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so we got 2 minor arcanas again. So there's an opportunity or something lingering around. And then we've got this 5. So there's been some disruptions around it. And it's, or also misinformation around it. With that 5 of Swords could be misinformation. And it would have been a disaster. So that feels like something more man-made or bad guy made somehow. So something was presenting as a potential, and it got intercepted. That would have been a big disaster coming from outer space. Okay, but that doesn't feel like natural or universally created, like say a solar flare might be. That felt like something more like the bad guys had planned. And it's coming from dysfunction. And also they wanted to use it as a fear mongering. So there was something planned and secretly in the background. So that's secrets revealed. It got revealed to, and this is my Mr. T card. So nice. By his group. Okay, so his part of, because I know he's part of the alliance. I know he's not all of it, and he's just the head or the front. And he was working the US because that needed to be looked after, because that was the biggest power in the world. So they had to deal from there. They had to go from there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got this strength card here. They've taken that off the agenda. So if we're still hearing about it, I feel like it was put out there to scare everybody, but I don't actually get it's literally coming and going to hurt us anymore.
Right. I mean, the sun itself has been acting up, but that seems to be natural. It seems to be the natural cycle of things. But I actually agree with what you said there. That seems plausible because there was a lot of fear surrounding that. And what it also did was people put all their eggs in one basket with hoping this event would happen. And then they were let down, and it kind of just muddied the waters in general. And then now we have across the board, we're having mixed readings. Like some people are claiming it's still going to happen and we have to wait for it, and other people are coming out they used to be for it or saying, guys, I don't think it's going to happen anymore. That's why I wanted you to do that reading, and that makes sense to me. Yeah.
I think it came really close. This card's like a 90% kind of card, but I feel like it just in the nick of time. This is like your 11th hour card. I feel like it got stepped back, and it was because it was going to cause too much damage somehow, or wasn't going to be to the advantage of human growth in the future, is what I get.
Right. Well, I think it was Ivan Teller. I was listening to one of his channelings, and he said that there was like 3 options. That there was like the option of like an asteroid or a meteor impact, a solar event, or COVID, the virus. And it was like somehow decided that there would be the least amount of casualties with the virus, and it would be the same catalyst. Each one was going to be the catalyst we needed to, kickstart humanity into an awakening. But the virus actually would have the least amount of casualties, or COVID 1984 is what I heard. I just heard it recently called.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, how much time do you have left? Are we?
Well, we got a few, let's give it another 10 minutes if you got that much time.
Sure.
I'm curious about like the financial reset, because the cabal is still talking about their great reset. Obviously, like it's going to definitely happen. They're very confident seeming, but what we know is that it's going to.
Let's ask about the
The
cabal.
good reset. Yeah.
First,
it's a good question.
The bad one. Let's see where the bad one sits, because they have been. And but think about this. Possibly the fix. So the least favorite thing of the cabal is to be out in the open and honest and have their stuff displayed. So when we hear things like New World Order spoken out of obviously a deep state player's mouths, I have a feeling they're being shadow governed, and they've been made to do that. I believe that Trudeau is actually puppeted, and that whoever there's three guys playing the one that they pretend to be Trudeau right now, and I think he's literally rounded up somewhere in the South Florida spa, likely, and who knows, getting processed, because when I first did a reading on secret tribunals, that was real. And every time I do it, and I didn't know anything about it, I just went in blind, because a guy likes to red pill me right on film, and he brought it up. And this was 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, I didn't even know what he was talking about. And I got absolutely there was, and that it was going on. And I believe it's been going on for a couple of years, and a lot of people disagree, but that's okay, because time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Time will tell. And so I believe these guys are shadow governed, and they've been forced to show the dark cult and or the Illuminati or whatever cabal's hand, and the New World Order, whatever you want to call it, all of those things. And they've been pushed to do it really in your face, just like in Australia. Look at what they're doing in Australia. And so they literally make them show the hand. Yeah. And so in retrospect, when everything comes out, people can go back and say, look at what these guys were up to. It's right here. They said it plain as day. They're going to be able to cover their ass. That's what I think's going on.
Yeah.
That kind of
I agree with that. That's exactly what it seems like. It's like they're being forced to just out in the open do everything, so everyone knows what is happening and what their goals are.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of blackmailing, I'm sure. And it's just helping to wake people up so much in general, because it's so in your face now. People that are super asleep are even waking up.
Yeah, it's true. So they've been doing a good job, actually, even though it's been really painful for people awake. They've been doing a great job of subtly putting it in your face. So it's like it gets to this unconscious level and it sits there. And then when things really come out, it'll be a more palatable for those people. If that's I don't know if that was a word.
It is now.
Okay, good, because I'm famous for making up words. Okay, so here's the cabal's money, sort of their reset, that they wanted, that great reset that would give you nothing, you'd own nothing, but be really happy, right? Because you'd be empty altered, right? So you'd be happy. Yeah. Okay, so you'd be their minion. Okay, who was left, by the way, because they were going to kill off 80% of the human race or something?
90% at least. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Or more.
Yeah. And then just take all the land and have everything. Okay. So see that here, we've got the two. So they still think they got a shot at it, even though they've been largely taken out. That's how delusional they are.
Right.
And some of them look like they're still hiding somewhere safe. Underground, maybe stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they got their bunkers and things, and maybe even off world, because they're looking at from a distance, some of them who aren't literally in the field. Okay. They still think they got a chance, but it's been largely, see that Three of Swords, taken out, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay. But they've got a few little tricks up their sleeve yet.
Okay.
They got a few little, because a page is little. So they got a little bit of hope so they're very optimistic that they're going to still be able to pull it off. Okay. And the biggest thing that's going to come out that's going to make it so they can't is the truth about their child trafficking, adrenochrome making, baby farms, stuff they've been doing to do with infants and children. That card says the stuff they've been hiding, that's going to come out really plain here.
Right. I agree.
Hollywood being a big part of it and stuff, right?
The tower is going to fall.
Yeah. That's going to make it so that it dies forever, right?
It's interesting. That actually makes so much sense, because when you look at them and watch them operate, they truly believe they still got a shot. Like they're not they're not just doing this just to do it. Like they actually believe they can still pull off whatever negative agenda they're trying to pull off. And I have a friend of mine in the Navy, and I was asking him. He claims to be on a team that's clearing out some of these tunnels, and I asked him about what's going on, and he said, "Dude, the cabal has no idea that they've even taken the bait." He's like, they have walked into a trap and they don't even know it. They're so delusional. And they still think they're getting away with this stuff when they're just being monitored 100% of the time, 24 hours a day. And it's just kind of laughable.
We have it all, right?
Right. But there's still, like you said, they still have a few tricks left up their sleeves. There's some rogue groups. There's some counter moves that are going to take place. And like you said at the beginning, it might not look so great in the near future here, but we'll get through it.
It's a testament to the arrogance of a lot of these people too. It's like, no matter what, they think they're indestructible, and that they can't lose, even though objectively you're looking like,
right,
it's pretty clear. But I think it's just their arrogance. They just think they're untouchable, and because for so long they have been, basically, they've been operating pretty much with impunity. And
right, they're not used to any pushback. Yeah,
not used to pushback, exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Janine. I know you have to get going here, but thank you for joining us. This was amazing. It feels that hour just flew by. We covered so much, but you're really doing some great work, and thank you. Can you please let people know where they can find you and how they can follow you?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me. I have a Telegram, and it's Tarot by Janine with the word channel at the end. So Tarot by Janine channel, that's mine. And then I also have Tarot by Janine YouTube channel. So you can check me out there. I got 150 subscribers on there for 150,000. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I have almost 100,000 on my little channel called Sending Ravens with Tarot by Janine. That's a little more of a Janine unplugged. So that goes a little more easygoing, and I do my own sort of interviews with people. In fact, I'm on my way to an interview, which is why I have to keep this to the time frame that we're keeping it. I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Northrup. So I'm kind of excited about that. But I talk about all kinds of things. I interview other readers, and we also exchange sort of readings and sort of whatever our, thing that we do is we exchange that just to show the audience what's going on. But that one's a little more casual. But the Tarot by Janine one is, if you're interested in, like, I've done lots of things on the Secret Space program. Just, you got to look back in the archives, because I've done 900 and something videos on there. So there's a lot to choose from.
And just for the audience, when you try and just what I found trying to search you on YouTube, there's a lot of fake channels. There's a lot of So be careful who you follow, because not all of them are actually you. We will put the links below in the description for her actual channels. My real channel. And no matter what I do, it's hard to take those. I have tried so hard to take all of those guys, those scammers down. And I should mention that I don't read personal readings. So if someone's trying to scam you, and people have been scammed really bad. Somebody approached them. I had a message just yesterday from a fake Instagram account of yours saying, "Hey, would you be interested in a reading?" Whatever. But I knew it wasn't you. I knew right off the bat it wasn't you. But don't fall for that shit, guys. Yeah. And as soon as you see an underscore past somebody's name, you know you got the wrong channel. That one had an underscore, and it's like Tarot by Janine doesn't need to have an underscore. Yeah. Well, this has been absolutely great. Thank you so much. Awesome. Continue doing what you're doing, because you're doing a great job. And joining the truth movement was the best thing you could have done, in my opinion. So thank you for that. And guys, we really look forward to seeing you at the conference. Grab a ticket, come hang out. If you can't make it, grab a live stream ticket. It's going to be a really cool live stream experience, but we want to see you all there. We're really excited about it, and we can't wait for it. It's right around the corner. The excitement is ramping up. Thank you for tuning in. That'll rise vibration, people actually physically coming together. Yes. That part of it is actually going to be my favorite. Just a quick story. Somebody was upset one of the speakers couldn't make it, and they're like, "Man, I'm not coming now." I said, "Why not?" I said, it's not even about the information at this point. The information's online all day long. This is about connecting with people and getting there and meeting them in person, and that experience of that being around each other's energy fields, and it's just it's a lifting. It's an exciting experiment. So experience.
Right on. And we should use our freedom while we have it. And I know we're going to continue to have it, but we need to exercise the freedom of traveling to something like that and joining together in something like that. It's so important.
Right. Right.
Yes,
Don't let them shut you down.
Yeah, totally.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for the donations. We love you all, and we will see you next time. Have a great evening.
For the average listener who's listening to these experiences, it doesn't make any sense how they could be doing this.
Yeah, it's complicated because that's reality. Reality is complicated. Our lives ain't simple. We can't put everything in simple boxes in black and white. That ain't how it works out there.
I think that they're gonna want to give us a disclosure that brings people up to speed quickly, but also keeps them in the dark about the real important stuff. They're gonna give us 90% of the truth with 10% of the lies.
Mm-hmm.
And those 10% of lies are more damning than all the truth can overcome.
They realize that if this goes the way it probably will go, they could face crimes against humanity charges at some point with the International Criminal Court, and that's the bigger issue. There will be people who are political elites here in this country that people will not understand why they're being charged. These people that everyone looks up to, and they're like, oh my God, these people are so awesome. And all of a sudden they're getting charged for crimes against humanity. And what these people don't realize is these particular individuals enabled these corporations to do what they did.
They're not going to drag us across the finish line, but it's going to be hard, but it has to be hard. So people will always remember, and this won't ever happen again.
It's all written in us. We're just kind of playing this out, regardless of what the surface war happens to look like right now. And I think our purpose here is really developing our consciousness.
This whole process is not just about what's going on in the world and this great awakening that's happening with all these different people. It's about the great awakening that's happening with all of the individuals and how we can take care of ourselves and keep ourselves healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
We're taught not to go into this part of ourselves that knows everything. We're taught to turn that off, actually, very purposefully, so that we are in a confused state that we rely on authority, right?
Because we incarnate for these experiences, It's not a victim thing. I incarnated for this experience, so then the question is why?
And oftentimes they program us. They help in programming us and giving us those limiting beliefs. And we have to kind of shatter those and be like, no. This is actually my divine self. This is actually what helps me align with the divine creator. And I need to purge all those things that you programmed me with, or that the programs programmed me with.
Understanding the larger picture in things like secret space programs is really important. We want to know what's operating behind the scenes that's controlling this individuals in these leadership positions and this larger sort of negative ET agenda, but also the kind of support and assistance that we're getting, while also appreciating the fact that we're here to save ourselves and to step up to the plate. And it's really important to step up to the plate.